The challenges that will present over the course of a season's long worth of challenge starts here with us on SIMGEAR. This is your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge, and as far as challenges go, the start of this season hits a very big challenge indeed. A circuit which is known time immemorial as we sit in the Monterey Bay, not a million miles away from the likes of Monterey and, of course, of Salinas, just outside by about an hour from San Jose. This is the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge starts live here with us. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you're watching from around the world. My name is Jake Sperry, bringing you all of today's coverage here from this wonderful piece of Americana and the great battling that will contest here. F4 is the port of call for the Summer Challenge, and these drivers all know it and will look to try and make their seasons start well. It is 6 weeks worth of championship time. It is 5 rounds worth of racing and 10 races that will have to be conducted. So, as it goes, 2 of them will go each and every single time we are out here and racing. We start with the staggered qualifying that we have at this moment in time. And what will be worth noting here is that there will be 11 minutes worth of qualifying for those in the AM category, then 11 minutes for those in Pro-Am, and finally 11 or to 13 minutes at the end for those in your Pro category division, as we look to try and find who is going to be the yardstick here out there overall. The first times now just starting out on these laps as we focus here with Nikolai Mikov making the run here over towards turn number 5. A long left-hander up the hill, and a circuit that has gone one major renovation over the years, and that renovation is that section going from turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, to where it rejoins onto the Graham Rahal straight and up over the top of this crest to the most famous corner, some would say, in motorsport, the corkscrew. Down the hill, a drop of 6 stories as you descend, and then into the rainy curve, a circuit that is more known for the motorcycle racing, MotoGP and the like, the legendary battle between Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner. And it is sometimes known for open-wheel battling, but through turn 11 and making that charge to the line on this 3.6-kilometer circuit, it is going to be Mikov trying to beat Stamenkov's time of a 22.3, and that's a 22.8 for Nikolai Mikov. So down half a second with that first attempt then in qualifying. You take a little look at turn 2, the Andretti hairpin, and how tight that pit exit is. The races here today are going to be 20 minutes long, and there are going to be a few caveats to have. For example, between race 1 and race number 2, the top 10 invert as they go. So having that invert will mean work will need to be found. Radlen Ivanov goes quickest in the 1:30 lime green machine, and so goes to a 1:22.074, and will certainly take happiness in the fact that it is currently pole position in category by a fairly sizable margin. But don't expect these drivers to have their own championship points to go and fight with over the course of this season. They are all part of the same pool, so they are looking to try and build as many places as they can over some of their competitors. The likes of Ivilo Dimitrov going up to 4th position. Alexandru Sergiu, the 1:02 car from Romania, then builds up a time and works well with the gap that is there. We've got a number of drivers representing a number of different countries. No surprises to see that Bulgaria is the best represented, as Gabriel Ricciardo has purple 3rd and 4th sectors. The Argentine looking to try and put the early morning into play in the Cannon Williams coloured F4, the old 1990s livery, which is out there at this stage. Over the line goes Gabriel Ricciardo, and that one will not count. So that will be a case of staying where he is at the the moment, and you cannot afford to invalidate the lap times. This is one of iRacing's free tracks. A lot of drivers should be able to understand this place like the back of their hands, but it is one where the track limits do jut out, and it is very easy to understeer, especially through turns 3 and 4, where Gabriel Ricciardo goes through right now, and where all of those troubles could find themselves with troubles out there on track. Sergio then crosses the line and goes third fastest on a 122.651, but still 0.6 of a second off the pace of Radlin Ivanov, but still a great improvement to find the time necessary to jump on up. You got drivers like Kenny Campos out there, Tim Bates, who has yet to set a representative time, currently on the board. Alex Plamanov has yet to put a time down in on the board either, and will certainly be searching for that to go and work. So we will see where all those times start to put themselves in place. Sergio right now running along towards turn number 6, possibly the toughest corner on the circuit by its corner profile at this stage. A change now as Valentin Stemenkov moves up to a 21.8, but beaten by Gabriel Ricciardo, who goes to a 121.6 and moves 0.2 of a second clear with that effort. So a great time from the 107. We were expecting quick times with purple sectors flying about left, right, and center, and that was a very good job indeed. Got the likes of Ryan Fallowfield making a run here over towards the line. His lap time not counting, but also we will be seeing drivers looking at green sectors, which improves on their specific best that they've got. And Alex Plamanov's first time, by the way, just 1,000th behind Alexandru Sergiu, who is there on a 22.651. So Plamanov on a 22.652. Now, in sim time, it has just gone by 25 to 9 in the morning, and the gravel's certainly kicking up out of that final corner. So expect this track to get hotter as the conditions look to continue. There was a little threat of rain in the practice, but that has dissipated, and there is a mock-up Stewart. Now, you love to see that in terms of livery design through turn 1. That is what Valentin Stemenkov is going to, the classic 1998 and 1999 liveried car there before, of course, the partnership with Ford moved over to Jaguar in the year 2000. So that gives you a lot of statement intent from where drivers like to run their liveries and give themselves as much of a classics feel out there as they possibly can, because you look around and see the likes of the 121 flying by, and Lazar Katsarski as well in the 111, also out there trying to put time together right now. You've got Stanimir Borisov on a 123.7, just a couple tenths of a second away from Eric Vecherif, in what is going to be 8th position now at this moment, because Radlin Ivanov is improving and now moves to 2nd. Valentin Stemenkov dropping now down into 3rd position with that position change. So Vecherif is looking to move on up, and we'll need 0.8 of a second to fill the void, which is currently split between him and Ivilo Dimitrov. But you keep an eye out, the blue category right now. So a case of categories make France at the moment. Blue category is your AM, white will be your pro-am, and red will be your pros. And we will see as we now move into the final 2 minutes or so of qualifying for the the AM category division. We've got a light blue Ferrari for Ivilo Dimitrov right now, a cooler color out there to try and make that push, and ultimately no time set going over the line, and so will not be able to gain that improvement. This track will rubber in as much as possible. This is the FIA F4 on iRacing, specifically put together by iRacing itself, and a big spin coming out of the final corner there for Alexandru Sergiu, who will now be unable to improve. Had put a green green fourth sector down on the board, so unable to navigate through that. This, of course, the precursor to the likes of Formula 3 out there, and then, of course, to Formula 2 and Formula 1, you run up the ladder. Formula 4 is a fantastic starting place for many to jump up, and we see a number of F4 series over the course of different regions to give what is necessary. And in iRacing as well, the FIA F4 Championship, which runs year on year after its inaugural run last year, proving to be a very fantastic spectacle of racing, where the likes of the Apex Racing team were completely dominant up at the top end of the championship. But with just half a minute to go, as qualifying looks to wind down for the AM category, it looks like Gabriel Ricciardo has done just about enough currently. No drivers we see here on your screen able to find much of an improvement, and the likes of Mikov, Plamanov, Katsarski, Stanchev, Borisov all down in the pits, so we'll be unable to contest. On board then, as we go with your qualifying pole at the moment for AM, that is Gabriel Ricciardo running through turn 5 and up the hill, looking for a bit of toe from Valentin Stemenkov, who sits in the 1-2-2, who is there just in front, kissing the inside curb. Goes Ricciardo, and now up the hill, looking to try and charge over the top of the corkscrew here, taking that shallow line, because you get a lot of rotation as the car starts to tip down the hill. You get a massive influx of grip, and then you've got to try and hold on to it as you go through the next part of the corkscrew, as you go through turn 8. But now through turn 10, leading to turn 11, that will be a pull down into the pits, and no driver's going to want to go into the pits when you've only got 20 minutes worth of racing per race here today. So pure sprint mode, and that will be that for that attempt. Heading then over towards the line will be the likes of Teddy Minev, hoping for a lap time and not managing one, so Minev will be one of them who will go to the back of the field. We've got Vekharif is out there, as well as Ivaylo Dimitrov, but Vekharif is going to jump into the pits. Ivaylo Dimitrov will try and make a push to the line and does a 1:22.618, so does improve on that time ahead of Lazar Katsarski, but does not improve as far as position goes. So that's one qualifying in the books, but now it's time for Pro-Am. Not quite slow enough to be an Am, not quite quick enough to be a Pro. So keep an eye on all of these drivers that look to try and prove what they've got in terms of pace. You've got the likes of Fahar Syed to keep in mind, who was lightning quick in practice, was third fastest in practice, believe it or not. So he might be a candidate to move up through the category divisions with his pace that he is looking to show. So keep an eye on Fahad Syed from the United States, as you got Vladimir Mavrodiev, you got Maxim Dimitrov, Milen Milchev is put in this category as well. Roshdi Koshev, no surprise from those watching the SIMGEAR GT Masters, he was part of the F4, the GT4 division, and got very close to the championship. Roy Viveka and Joris Ooms will both be in category for Mark Speed together too, so keep an eye out on many different drivers who will be looking to prove what they've got. Tim Bates will have to end his qualifying session, and the first time comes in then from Teddy Minev, then of in 13th position, so does not in fact improve on that time. But Fahad Syed is purple in the second sector and is certainly gathering a lot of momentum. It is Roshdi Koshev who he's got directly in front in the white, the black, and the, I'd say the monochrome or the chromatic style livery. They're very Skip Barber-ish, actually, in the way that that livery has come together. And of course, the Skip Barber series will be returning as well to iRacing with their F4 division, which will be out there, which will be wonderful to see. Drivers trying to battle for a prize worth $500,000 US, which is a full-time season's drive in the Skip Barber Racing series. Time starts to come in. Joris Ooms goes fourth quickest, Roy Viveka 7th, Mavrodiev 10th, and Syed, they're only able to go 17th. So definitely trying to gear up that time and improve over the laps, but they do need a couple laps to get the tyres into the operating temperature. And you take a look at those rear tyres there on car number 94, sorry, the car in 4th position, car 54, Joris Ooms. There's a lot of camber there on the rear tyres, and especially on the fronts as well. They're always trying to lean that tyre in to get it on a knife edge, to get it to turn and grip. Won't get that lap time working the way is necessary. They're driving off the circuit and trying to make that work at turn 6, but because this is an active and open circuit and we are in open qualifying, the drivers in the AM category are going to get the best of track conditions, the worst of track conditions, especially around a circuit with a lot of dry grass here in California, a lot of gravel around this place. It is going to be a really tough ordeal for drivers in the 2nd and especially the 3rd division, Pro Division, to go and get the qualifying times that they want out of this. So keep that in the back of mind, because where they qualify will determine everything. Viveka staying 7th quickest with a time that is invalidated. Koshev improving up then to 14th, but there is the change as Fahad Syed puts a 121.5 down on the board and goes quickest by a 1/10 of a second. So a great lap time by Fahad Syed, about half a second off of his quickest from practice, and will be looking now to build that momentum over his nearest rival, Joris Ooms, who is half a second adrift. You've also got Maxim Dimitrov, who is never too far out of fighting for championships here when it comes to racing action. He did brilliantly in the AM category of GT3 to give himself an outside shot of the title, but for Maxim Dimitrov, he's looking around thinking, you know what, 3rd position, I'll certainly be taking that from a qualifying effort here. 16 minutes and a half then into qualifying as Dimitrov drops down the hill and looks to try and improve further, moving for a little bit of gain in this 2nd part of qualifying. Really charging now over towards the line. We expect Maxim Dimitrov to try and find improvement. Does to a 122.176. Just not enough to get by Ooms, as there is Milan Milchev crossing the line on a 22.8. Just short of Vladimir Mavrodiev, and splits him and Rosti Koshev for position. You've then got the likes of Teodor Ivanov, who is in the number 58 car, who is doing a great job as far as qualifying is concerned, up in 10th place just behind Roy Viveka. You would certainly take that. Simagic all along the side there for Teodor, who moves through turn 3, and these consecutive rights that feel very similar but very different. You can attack turn 4 a bit more at 170 kilometers an hour. Try and square the exit off as much as possible, leading to 205 clicks before jamming on the brakes to 140 in towards the next left at turn number 5. There is Roy Viveka in the number 62 machine, looking to try and move on up. That won't help with Joris Ooms running into troubles. His teammate there just around him, but Roy will now look to the line. 21.862, perfect. Top 5 now found for Roy Viveka, and that puts him just 0.3 of a second adrift and 2nd in the category, still behind Valentin Stemenkov, Radlin Ivanov and Gabriel Ricciardo. But for Pro-Am, we're certainly getting a lot of momentum here. Koshev improves, now up to 10th position with a 22.445, just 100th faster than Teodor Ivanov. And we've got a massive slew of drivers, and we still got that top category to go with the likes of Christian Novev, Alberto Campos is in there, Gonzalo Prieto is going to be there, as well as Martin Yankov and Kevin Aby. Gian Zaltavella is also going to be going there with the likes of Chris Vrajilov. So there are some names that will want to try and stamp their authority for pole position, and improvements then for Teodor Ivanov on that last lap. 21.9 going up then to 6th position. Joris Ooms now to 7th, and it's Dimitrov, Maxim Dimitrov, who finds himself in 8th place then at at this moment. So we are seeing a whole heap of drivers looking to prove that they can jump on up the order. And over the top of the crest then, and once more down the hill at the corkscrew. Theodor Ivanov looking consummately calm right now through the rainy curve, looking to try and get as much grip as possible on that inside front knife edge. And now through turn 10, really pushing the extremities of the circuit. Ivanov with a purple third sector will give you great indication of how hard these drivers are looking to try and improve and gain those places. It's a 21.449. Theodor Ivanov is cleared by a 10th over Fahad Syed, who is on an outlap at the moment. So this will be surely a last attempt, or if not a penultimate attempt for Fahad Syed. You are allowed to finish any laps that you start, but my goodness. It is now Theodor Ivanov who says, I am going to be the yardstick. And for Fahad Syed, who was one of the quickest, third fastest in practice, it's a case of a circuit that is not allowing to go and get to the highest levels imaginable. We are in mostly cloudy conditions here around this Laguna Seca circuit. But for the moment, it's a case of sea breeze will stay very far away in California. There is still hope for Joris Ooms to improve, who went on a fantastic tear in the GT Masters late on, had the championship lead with a round to go, or a couple rounds to go, couldn't quite convert. 22.090 improves Joris Ooms in time, doesn't improve on position, but it's still a good improvement to make. It gives a little bit more buffer, now almost a 10th over Maxim Dimitrov. The 60 of Vladimir Mavrodiev now looking to try and find this time as we head to 35 seconds to go in Pro-Am qualifying. Syed quickest in the third sector, green in sector 1, green in sector 4, heading to sector 5, not getting any help from the car in front of Roy Viveka, but over the line. 121.447, 2000's clear. Fahad Syed has done just enough, and I mean just enough. Now up to Theodor Ivanov to respond to that. 2000, spin it around, why don't you? It is a minute margin up at the front of Pro-Am at this stage. Fahad Syed, number 53, United, out there from what is Club or the Flag United States. Oh, that will do a wondrous job of finding that. You've also got Tim Bates, who's apparently out there still on the category of AM, which I think is very interesting. Maybe hasn't quite read the rule book here, but will not surely be allowed to improve after going out in the first part of qualifying. So I think stewards will have to have a little word there with Tim Bates to talk about how qualifying is going. But at the moment, checkered flag out in Pro-Am, the likes of Milan Milchev hitting the pits. Theodor Ivanov, though, rounding the final corner, a yellow in 4 straight sectors. It will take a purple final sector and a miracle to get this one over the line with pace. 23.2 will not do for Theodor Ivanov, and so there is a lot to be found. The likes of Maxim Dimitrov trying to charge to the line and improve, and for Maxim in the number 56 machine, a 122.143. That will be enough to stay around at Joris Ooms, but not improve. Half a second down, but that will bring Pro-Am into play. So Fahad Syed now becomes the bench setter with Theodor Ivanov, but now you've got some of the best out there. You've still got Ryan Fallowfield, by the way, who's out there in qualifying, another driver who does need to pull down into the pits. But the likes of Murtol Shaheen, for example, going out there looking to put a lap time in. Alberto Campos, Kevin Aby, the Swiss driver who is there. Chris Vrajilov, Viktor Varbanov, also out there. So keep those drivers in mind as they look to go through, and it is worth keeping an eye that Tim Bates has actually improved his time over Kenny Campos. So for Tim, who's done 16 laps here in qualifying, he should be parked for what he's doing right now, but he's got to try and avoid that. But pro qualifying now brings itself into perspective at this stage. You've got the likes then of Martin Yankov, Gian Zaltavella, who will be hoping to go quick here, Murtol Shaheen, Alberto Campos, Kevin Abey, Chris Vrajilov, and Victor Varbanov, Gonzalo Prieto also out there on circuit. And will those drivers like Tom Caudry, who has yet to go out and set any form of time at all, move and make something happen? You've also got Martin Stoyanov without a time too. But these first times will start to flutter on in, and at least for the moment, car 7 is where the eyes are. What a striking livery that is for Victor Varbanov, who leads an absolute slew behind, heading towards the line, and that will be the likes then behind him who will try and go and fly through of Abey and of course Chris Vrajilov. And as those first times jump in, Prieto, currently the quickest of those in pro, fifth only. Oh, massive wiggle there behind from what was going to be a big moment for Victor Varbanov. So he will drop that time, and there is Martin Yankov. Of course, Ryan Fallowfield needs to be in a position to stop his qualifying out there, because he is through then is an AM category driver and needs to be parked. But right now, it is a case of sit and find those times. Zaltavella currently in 8th position with that effort, and we focus with Martin Yankov here, who is a little bit further down, having not set a time with that first attempt around. So we'll need to go and hit a level. Kevin Abey, quickest in the middle sector, and now we'll be looking to try and run through Sector 4 the best way possible at this stage. So can Kevin Abey do what he needs to? He needs to rely on Chris Vrajilov being quick, otherwise he's going to have to try and find a way through. Crucially, Vrajilov moves then into the pits, but Abey is still green in Sector 4. Gonzalo Prieto with a purple final sector goes quickest on a 21.3. Abey 21.9 only, couldn't improve. So Gonzalo Prieto, the Spaniard, goes fastest. Yankov's quickest in the opening sector, and there is the number 12 of Gonzalo Prieto, who's done everything right through that first attempt in qualifying, saying that it is now Prieto's turn to be up on pole position. Yankov will push over to the line and go second by 200ths of a second only out there, a 10th clear of Syed and of Ivanov, with Ricardo and Ivanov there, Radlin Ivanov that is, in position number 6. So it goes pro, am, pro at the moment, but you got Abey and Shaheen who are looking to try and improve, and we will see drivers making that progress as they go. One of them, Christian Novev, then, who goes to a 122.2, 14th position only with the pro time out there on the board. So there is still more that needs to be uncovered and uncorked as qualifying continues on at this stage. Alberto Campos, for example, will be a driver looking to improve as the number 7 car of Victor Varbanov moves down into the pits. Greens for Campos, greens for Zaltavella as well, and Zaltavella will look to improve. Abey moves up to 6th position. Campos then into position number 14 with that time. So movement there, as there goes Gian Zaltavella, who jumps on up. That's P5 now, and only 3/10 off of Gonzalo Prieto. So a good time by the Dutchman Gian Zaltavella, who will now be looking around and thinking, right, I've done a good job to give myself the platform. How much more can I get? So you got likes of Varbanov down the field, yet to put anything down in. Chris Vrajilov is still searching for a lap time. No times from Dimitar Palazov, nothing from Tom Caudry, and nothing from Martin Stoyanov. So keep an eye in and around that top 10. Remember, that's going to be where the reverse comes into play for race number 2. Oh, and a huge catch down the hill from Kevin Abey. Then as the Swiss driver has to hold a bucking Bronco going down that section. It's a case of, hold on, we're not quite Boise, Idaho. We're a little bit too far west for that. So AB looking to try and navigate through. That green second sector would have given focus, but won't be enough. You also got Alberto Campos, who is hoping to try and jump on up and gain time, and that then will be good enough in the number 10 machine to say no dice. So still needs to be more then from Campos, but Martin Yankov hoping that 3 green sectors will be enough to move to the very top. Gonzalo Prieto will be hoping there's no improvement. There is, though. 121.247 to the top goes Martin Yankov. Murtol Shaheen over the line. 22.135 jumps Chris Vrajilov by 0.02 of a second. So that's another case of big movement being found and at the right place at the right time for Murtol then to get it done and get it sorted in the Bitcoin car out there at this stage. And there's nothing cryptic about this in terms of time. It's middle of the pack. Christian Novev then crosses and moves to a 21.9, splitting the mark speed boys of Viveka and Ooms together. So, apart even, I should say. So there is still going to be more to have, and we're into the final 5 minutes of qualifying. So any late positions gained, you'll be looking around at now. This will be the perfect time. AB looking to charge over towards the line, and can AB move on up a little bit more? 121.8, that won't be a timed improvement. Alberto Campos does, and does go on to a 122.1, gets ahead of Maxim Dimitrov. Contact there with Bates. That will invalidate the lap then going through. So sacrifice this one. There'll be one more needed from car number 2 to jump on up. I keep my eyes focused on the likes of Gonzalo Prieto. Varbanov with a purple first sector. Here's car 6 charging over towards the line. Chris Vrajilov going to 13th. Shaheen moving up to 8th. But what about car 7? Victor Varbanov, 21.351. Welcome to the fray. Up into 3rd position with that attempt. So now needing 7,000 to jump Gonzalo Prieto, the Spaniard, to move on up. So Victor Varbanov is looking to try and score some big points. Christian Novev with a purple second sector out there can only go 9th. Doesn't manage to find a middle sector worth its weight in toffee at this stage. So this is really becoming a crunch time for drivers who are putting everything, all their eggs in this final basket, knowing there's nothing left for them to go out and find. So Victor Varbanov will be one hoping to jump up. Martin Yankov still somewhat safe at the moment. Prieto crossing the line with a green second sector. 23.1 backed out of it, giving another attempt out there at this point. Over the top of the crest then they go and in towards that corkscrew. Was that a bit too deep there? And that will be a large cause of concern if it's too deep for one Mr. Likes there of going through Kevin AB. So AB then hoping there is more to be found, or in fact in front of AB, then that improvement needed. That will be Victor Varbanov hoping that there is more. Purple in 2 sectors on this lap, but will have to abandon this one and go one final time. They've got till the 35-minute mark to put their lap time in on the board. The likes of Alberto Campos then coming out of the pits for a late charge in this qualifying session, and it's a game of who can do more. Novev improving, jumped AB, now to 8th goes Christian Novev on a 21.713, still half a second down on fastest time overall. Martin Yankov currently holding. At some point the tires will give way and say we can't get the best out of it. Gian Zaltavella with a green 3rd sector right now and trying to jump up ahead of the pro-ams of Fahad Syed and Teodor Ivanov. So this will be big for Zaltavella here to get this lap time sorted. It's yellow in sector 4, and now for turn 11, which is a place you can throw a lunge late in races like these. It will now be the drive over towards the line. Can Zaltavella Zaltavella move on up from 7th. It is over the line at 24.476. Time was there, position was not. Yankov crossing the line isn't going to improve on that one. What can Varbanov do? Because there's 2 purple sectors, 2 and 3, crossing the line again, 22.2. So it is again another lap time invalidated there for Varbanov, as the likes of Alberto Campos also can't find that last chance saloon for all drivers out there. Who's got one more lap in the back pocket that says, I can go to pole? AB will be looking around. This might be a game of last car over the line. Behind him, Gonzalo Prieto, who's green in Sector 1, who's green in Sector 3, is looking to be green in Sector 4, is purple in Sector 4. Has Gonzalo Prieto found the perfect latching point to hold on to at the end of this qualifying session? He's got one final corner to go, pushes incredibly wide over that AstroTurf. Will this one be worth its weight in gold? To the line, 21.313, no! Lost it on the final corner. That was looking so good from Prieto. Martin Yankov still holds as there's 15 seconds left in qualifying. Still, it's enough then to hold that station. Murtol Shaheen is improving still. So can Murtol move up on a 121.5? Green in 3 separate sectors on the lap and crossing to a 4.57. That will do it, and that will be enough. Pole position, it's Martin Yankos, but Shaheen, and the latest day possible, moves up to the 3rd row. Your grid then will be as follows. Martin Yankov will be on the pole position on a 1:21.247. It's then Gonzalo Prieto and Viktor Varbanov, 2nd and 3rd. Fahad Saev and Teodor Ivanov are 4th and 5th, with Murtol Shaheen in 6th. It's then Gian Zaltavella and Gabriel Ricciardo, with Christian Novev, Kevin Aby, your top 10. Radlin Ivanov and Valentin Stemenkov making up your top 12. You got Roy Viveka, Chris Vajlov, Joris Ohms, and Alberto Campos, the next 4. Maxim Dimitrov and Nikolai Mikov, with Alex Plamenov, Rosti Korshev, Alexandru Sergiu, Ivailo Dimitrov, Vladimir Mavrodiev, and Milen Milchev. 36 cars here today. You can see that final row of the grid, housing the likes of Dimitar Dimitrov, there, Tom Caudry, and also Martin Stoyanov down there at the back in position number 36. But they've got to get themselves all ready and situated onto this grid. They know that they've got 20 minutes in front of them, and it is a fairly sizable run towards turn 2 out there on this circuit, because they immediately tackle turn number 1 through the fast left-hander, which does not need any braking at all. The WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca proves to be a very difficult challenge for 36 drivers here today. They're looking to avoid any form of disaster in this championship. They will stack all the way back to Martin Stoyanov, who is in the 36th position, almost at the final corner. Such is the margin back. But for these drivers, they know 2 races tonight. The first one is 20 minutes worth of battling. They will then have an invert of 10 when it comes to the main race, and the points that they will offer, 70 points on offer for a race win. Who's going to stand up and make themselves known and counted? Lights then getting ready here at Laguna Seca, because for now, your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge is going to start right now, and we are off and away. It's a clean start through the entirety of the field. 1 car Bates there, starting from the pits. Gonzalo Prieto will be looking down to the inside. Martin Yankov left a sniff open through the opening corner, so Prieto can sniff again off of the exit. Everyone funneling through at about 2 wide through the middle of the pack and gets themselves okay. Yankov defending the inside through turn 3. Outside line searching still, as it's now going to be a huge defense by Yankov into turn 4. Gonzalo Prieto moving around the outside, takes the place, sniffing about, trying to take that was Viktor Varbanov, who's got the inside and looks in towards turn 5. Contact round between the top 2. Gian Zaltavella has come together with Fahad Syed, who's in the barriers on the opening lap of this race, Alexandru Sergiu's got a McLaren Orange mechanical flag. Dimitrov, Nikolai Mikov, and Radovan Ivanov in trouble. That was at the back on the opening lap of this race, but dramatic off the start then as it's gone wrong through turn 5 for Fahad Syed, the leader in Pro-Am. It will now be Teodor Ivanov with a massive gap over Roy Viveka in his championship effort. But for the moment, Valentin Stamenkov leading Am in 9th position, but the front of the field, Gonzalo Prieto finds himself in control. Varbanov in 2nd, Yankov 3rd, Zaltavella is in 4th. Eric Vehereif is down in the pits. Then Kevin Aby has had a great start, up 3 places. It's up 5 for Alberto Campos, side by side, down the hill towards turn 1, trying to get by Chris Vrajilov. This will be for +6, and at the Andretti hairpin turn 2, gets it done. So that's 2 places gained, and now in the transfer, and they're all stacking up behind Stamenkov there, the Am, and Stamenkov running a little bit wide, opens the door up now for Alberto Campos to dive down the inside, leaves just enough room, but now needs the clearance and the drive, heading over towards turn number 5, and managing that, Noved through, and now here comes the lunge back down the inside, tipped around. Stamenkov, the Am leader, goes sideways, and is now going to drop down behind Maxim Dimitrov, and it will now promote Gabriel Ricciardo to the lead of Am category out there, up the hill. Teodor Ivanov looking around at Gian Zaltavella, trying to get this position, and for the moment with 20 minutes, Zaltavella runs wide, trying to use all of the road. Ivanov trying to go down the inside to hopefully get that place, but cannot manage it. For Prieto, he's got his lead, but now they've changed for 2nd because Martin Yankov finds himself there, all swarming about, looking to make these moves with Aby on the back, Novev, Shaheen, Ivanov, and the likes then, as we got a whole host of drivers down in on the pit lane. As now joining them in that is Stanimir Borisov, who is in trouble as well with the black and orange mechanical flag. Big overshoot from Murtol Shaheen, who nearly goes into the back of Teddy Ivanov. For Christian Novev, he holds himself then through with that place, and Kevin Aby, the Swiss driver, runs around the outside and holds on steady with that one. Up to 3rd we go, where Viktor Varbanov is going to be a driver under pressure. But let's go back to Joris Ooms, because he's got his eyes set on Maxim Dimitrov for position here. 2 wide, 2 deep, as they are behind as well, as Roshdi Koshev moves by Valentin Stamenkov, who's trying to bring himself back into play. Does he have damage potentially on his front wing? Yes, front left wing for Stamenkov is turned up, so that's why he's struggling out there. Ooms trying to follow with Maxim Dimitrov and gain the places. Currently it's Chris Vrajilov in the transfer spot in 10th place. Watch out, straight down the inside. Great avoiding awareness then from Koshev's overbreak then, as Joris Ooms would make his way through and pick up that place. Stamenkov and Ivilo Dimitrov will also find those passes. What a start from the back, by the way, for Tom Caudry, who has absolutely flown up through the field and is 18th, a gain of 16 places so far, the biggest gainer out there. Fastest lap of the race then for Prieto. Yankov at a 2nd back is still trying to give it up, but it's not a fastest lap from Martin Yankov because it was not clean. There was an off-track incident point out there, and they've got 17 to play with here today. Round the outside of the Andretti, tries the look then as Roy Viveka to the outside of Gabriel Ricciardo, leader in Am in 11th place. Viveka in 12th. You've got Ivilo Dimitrov 13th, and again wide in the background goes the likes there of Valentin Stamenkov, who's trying to bring things into play. You've still got the leader in Pro-Am in 8th place currently, and looking to move on up, but that is 3 places lost by Teodor Ivanov, who has dropped those places and has dropped them, I would suggest, with a slowdown penalty out there, which has cost about 3 positions out there. So Ivanov with work to do to bring it back side by side to the corkscrew. Viveka holding ahead of Maxim Dimitrov. The battle 2nd overall when it comes to Pro-Am. Am at the moment is a I would say, powder keg of good drivers here from 11th on back, but at least for the moment, it's a case of where you hold, and do not count out the race lead battle that's there. On board with Joris Ooms, who looks to continue to try and find that place and continue to pressure Maxime Dimitrov for this one, but keep an eye on the race lead because that gap is now half a second between Gonzalo Prieto and Martin Yankov, the pole sitter. So as they've gone through 5 minutes of this race, hold your breath. Each and every corner, kick of oversteer, trying to hold it, had to open the steering up there. Did Ivilo Dimitrov, because that was Valentin Stamenkov trying to go around the outside. Now it's Rosti Koshev looking to jump down to the inside to pick the move up through turn number 4 and drive through the exit of the corner, managing that fantastically. Got to go to Yankov though, who is really harassing at the front, pushes wide through turn 6, burns an off-track incident point, but now have you got what it takes? Down the hill, through the corkscrew, those 6 stories of drop, one of the biggest drops from any corner out there in motorsport, especially here in sim racing, and the group starting to coalesce and coagulate back together again. Viktor Varbanov is there. Gian Zautavella, having a great race from 7th on the grid, is starting to chase this down. So there are still going to be amazing chances to chase down pace, to say you can get a bit more out there. But for the moment, Gonzalo Prieto will look at turn 2, the best place to get a move done on the circuit, and it's not quite in play. There's car 11, Christian Novev. This is 5th and 6th. The group just behind the leaders right now, and Kevin Aby will want a bit of work. Murtol Shaheen holding back Teodor Ivanov and Alberto Campos, with Chris Razilov, I'd say, quite comfortably right now in the transfer spot of 10th position overall. And there will be games to be played of who can profiteer the most by being right place, right time. Up the hill they will go. Turn 6 onto the Rahal Straight and taking the big climbs through each and every single corner out there. Novev having to defend. Behind that, slow down penalty for Teodor Ivanov will allow through again the pass to be made. Alberto Campos moving by and getting that position sorted. Remember, every place is more points, and the more lost here by Ivanov, the more Roy Viveka will limit the gap then in 12th position overall. So that will be a couple points that you want in the back pocket and want as back as quickly as possible. But still they start to chase, and for the race lead, Martin Yankov has a run, is going to have to go to the outside to make this move happen. Tries it the long way around, and that one won't work. Then immediately from Gonzalo Prieto, he will hold his place right now, but Martin Yankov is searching, and the ever comparable Viktor Varbanov, who runs off the circuit wide, is gonna have to really work hard to keep himself in play. In fact, he'll pick up a double by going wide, and now defended to turn 5. Yankov will have to try and go to the outside to make the pass happen. Again, trying to go up and under, but look at the run that Varbanov starts to get, and will he push him on the straight? He bumps him on the straight towards turn 6. He's trying every key. There was a car off there, and that was Tim Bates, who was in the gravel, but now Varbanov has got a run here towards the corkscrew. Oh, he's in the back of Martin Yankov. Yankov finds himself turned around 360, somehow out the barriers, and survives to tell the tale. Is going to drop a couple places here and serve the slowdown, trying to get back up to speed. AB will go by. The likes of Campos will go by, and Vrajilov and Teddy Ivanov, who are there together. I think Ivanov's trying to get 10th place here right now. Is going to be in play. Wow, wowee. That could have been a dramatic and disastrous moment out there. But Martin Yankov, your pole sitter, way back down the order. Another look at that. Yankov trying to do everything possible to keep the car out there. The Pirelli P0s, they're having to jam on the brakes and just about kept it out of the wall. Great job, Yankov. They're in 8th place now with Chris Boris Vazalov and, of course, Teodor Ivanov, who's trying to play this game very, very cleverly for race number 2. Around the outside now will try Vazalov, and there goes one place, and Martin Yankov then back to 10th will allow comfortably through Teodor Ivanov to try and make this race happen again. Prieto and Varbanov are now your top 2, and you've also got an interesting scrap between Gabriel Ricciardo and Roy Viveka down in 11th and 12th. That is your AM category leader and second in Pro-Am battling it out for position. And both just as entitled to try and pick up as many points as possible. We do have cars in the pits, like some Milchev, Plamanov, Nikolai Mikov. You got there the likes of Dimitrov, Sergiu in trouble, Vegaraev out, Borisov out, and have decided to jump out of server. And the likes there of Dimitrov can be put in that group as well. There is car 10 looking to try and work hard. So this will be Alberto Campos hoping every which way that a move can be made on Murtol Shaheen for position, picking up a lovely tow over 200 kilometers an hour to the right-hand side. Try and throw it deep on the brakes. Hold it around the outside if you can dare, and keeps that car in check. Little wiggle on the exit. Keeps the power in, though, and that's a wonderful lunge at turn 3. Put that in a hat and say, how wonderful was that? A great pass. Murtol Shaheen loses out that place. It is going to be now Alberto Campos up into 6th place. Varbanov is all over the back now of Gonzalo Prieto. They might be side by side up to turn 6. They are side by side up to turn 6. You never go side by side at turn 6. And Varbanov's still got a run off the exit. He lifted early, got a better drive through, and now have to go around the outside of the carousel to get the move done. Not gonna work. And Sunshine, you need a bit more. Gonzalo Prieto is just doing enough through every corner. He's never too far out of step, and through turn 10 and looking towards turn number 11, the final corner, Viktor Varbanov is looking around and he is sensing opportunity is in play, and now he'll get a run off the final corner here at a 10th and a half back and say, I'll have to go the long way round, heading towards turn 1. You can't drive it through the cones. He moves at the latest available opportunity to try and get this through. The more they battle, the more they'll allow Gian Zaltavella into play in 3rd position. And again, it's close, but close is not close enough then for Viktor Varbanov's pass. So this then in the Summer Cup is now starting to be a wonderful battleground for position, trying to go through 4 and heading over towards turn number 5. Is there going to be a look on where that next pass is going to be had? Deciding to wait at it through turn 5. You will get a little bit of the dirty air effect that kicks on in through the corners, but up over the top of the crest then towards turn 6. And now you start thinking about what more can you do. Again, a little push wide from Viktor Varbanov using all of the road. And now here comes another attempt, this time backing out of it though. Moving into that next section. Massive lockup of the inside front by Prieto. Opens up the door at the rainy curve to maybe have a little bit of a lunge. If you can get the run through 9, you might be able to sniff at 10. Again, just not able to pick the run up as neatly and as tidily as is wanted. But this is a horrible waiting game right now for Prieto, who almost gets a tap through the final corner. Zaltavella wants to try and bring back in to position this move. So at least right now, Gonzalo Prieto here. We're almost 14 minutes through these 20 minutes. There is lap traffic to deal with in front. Milan Milchev, Martin Stoyanov, who got a black flag early in the race for what I can only assume was a jump start here in this one. Trying to recover on back through. Viktor Varbanov has his eyes peeled, wants to work out where he can go and get that place to move on and gain that position, which will give him the overall victory. He's looking around, sniffing for it everywhere he can, under the mother's shoe polish footbridge, and now over to turn number 5, driving up the hill. He gets such a run up here, but turn 6 is not traditional to make that pass, and he just gets pinched on that outside, can never truly get what he wants. But again, he gets a wonderful run, immediate covered defense over to the inside. Can Viktor Varbanov go the long way around? We'll try it a long way around, won't get there again. This is big battling by Victor Varbanov to try and get past Gonzalo Prieto. I think he'll need to use the traffic as a pick. And look at Gian Zaltavella, who will now move into play and say, you know what? I'm a part of this race too. I've got a race victory in mind, and they'll soon grab the likes of Christian Novev and Kevin Aby in 4th and 5th. Back into play, out to the final corner, trying to break a bit of toe here is Victor Varbanov, because he knows he's not going to be close enough to Gonzalo Prieto. This time around, a 21.6 from Zaltavella, who now might be thinking about starting to go on the offensive for position. Car off on the exit then of that is Kenny Campos, letting them through at a lap down, or many at this stage, and Kenny Campos now officially just the 1 lap down at this point, and Prieto will watch along with Varbanov and Zaltavella. The gap's opening up. Viveka has lost the place to Joris Ooms, who is now in 12th position, looking to hunt down Ricardo in 11th. Gabriel Ricardo, by the way, doing a wonderful job in AM category to be 11th place out there overall, up through turn 6. Watch that inside curve on the inside. It stares at you at each and every single time you go on by on what is their 12th lap of racing. 4 minutes to go, and now the traffic's there as Teodor Ivanov looks at 8th place against Chris Vrajilov for that position, and hoping to find it and maybe not having much luck down at the corkscrew. AB starting to close in as well, hoping that move on Christian Novev is going to be in play. Milen Milchev pulls out of the way of the front 3 as they head towards the final corner. They need a little bit more discord on the back here, those 2 drivers, 4th and 5th, Novev and AB, because now it's about Prieto, Varbanov and Zaltavella, who are looking to try and put their positions in play. They've got Martin Stoyanov to get by, and now once again Victor Varbanov's taken a couple of laps to cool the tyres down, and now will look to go again and make those Pirellis work. So that's the next port he's trying to look at. Running out of time in this race 1 of 2 here tonight. Well, knowing that in this opening round you can now start using the off-track points, but you can't use more. Black flag for Victor Varbanov. I think he's used 17 up, and as such he'll have a drive-through penalty because he's gone through all his incident points, desperately trying to move up through the field. Oh, Victor, he's got all the pace, but he can't keep it between the lines, and that will cost him. And what will be key now is, can Gian Zaltavella hold that place? By comparison, everybody will gain one as he'll have to come into the pits. Teodor Ivanov right now is going to be one trying to get by Chris Vrajilov, and so Gabriel Ricardo surely will be the driver who hits the absolute money by moving to the transfer point. In comes Varbanov to the pit, and he will be very red-faced at the fact he would have to, as his instant point count ticks over 17. But now Teodor Ivanov will pick up that place and will now start thinking about, well, can I get a bit more out there? 8th place, an extra couple points, and you'd certainly love to see that as that all goes. Remember, it's not the longest pit lane out there. It's going to be very close, actually, for Gabriel Ricardo versus the likes of Victor Varbanov, but I think Ricardo's clear, and also Joris Ooms might just get clearance as well. Down to 2 minutes, 1.1, the gap at the front, but the focus is with Chris Vrajilov, Teodor Ivanov, your Pro-Am leader, and then Martin Yankov, who is trying to stay in range behind 2, who are all thinking about where can these places work. Varbanov, by the way, has come out behind Joris Ooms out there on track, so in 12th position, and a huge kick in the teeth in this opening race of the season under the entrance to the circuit. And now through turn 6, using all the road, goes Teddy Ivanov, and Teodor is trying what he can to move on up to gain that place. Remember, the podium is up for grabs as well when the final lap of the race comes into view, because AB wants Christian Novev's number out there and say, that is my place. But Chris Vrajilov holding steady, doing well against Ivanov. Martin Yankov would love to gain an extra place out there, but will he value a couple of points out there? Kenny Campos running wide in front of these drivers. They go through now to the final lap of this opening race of the season, and a lead gap of just about a second for Gonzalo Prieto, who will now hope no mistakes from here to win this one. The podium I'd love to go and see right now, because AB's got the gap down to 0.3 of a second, starting started 9th and 10th, did those two drivers, and now looking to go really aggressive there. Catches the curb on the inside of turn 3. That will certainly not help things for Kevin Abey, but now Christian Novev finding himself closer and closer still. Lunges at the inside traffic, not playing ball for Zaltavella. Here Stoyanov is trying to get by Palauzov for position. They should be entitled to fight for that, which is where Martin Stoyanov is starting to think about it. But as they go by Stoyanov, will there be clearance? Yes, there will. But now as we look, there's only a handful of corners left. Over to the corkscrew goes Kevin Abey. He's not close enough to Novev, but it's this driver keeping himself ice cool when it comes to Laguna Seca. 2 corners away. Car number 12 doing everything that's needed to in your SIMGEAR F4 Challenge Summer Cup. Wow. Gonzalo Prieto. Absolutely magnificent defense. Nobody could pass, and Gonzalo Prieto takes the win. Gian Zaltavella will be second, and third for Christian Novev will be a huge sign of a relief there. Likes of Vrajilov, Ivanov, Yankov, Campos and Shaheen over the line, and it will be Ricciardo to the line. Gabriel Ricciardo, who will take the pole for race number 2, with Joris Ohms and Viktor Varbanov there 11th and 12th, and Varbanov kicking himself at the amount of points he's dropped in the opening race. Good recovery as well, by the way, for Fahad Syed, who was around on the opening lap and still gets 18th place. So still points to work with, and good points to work with in the Pro-Am division, as you get a lovely fan out towards the line. Valentin Stamenkov struggling here late, heading over towards the line. A drag race, and that one 3 thousandths in favor of the hold there. Oh, sorry, that was a car a lap down actually there. Sorry, that was Dimitar Dimitrov a lap down as they fanned in the finish over the line. So a wonderful opening race then from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. But as the final cars come to the line, the likes of, I believe, Gabriel Ivanov will be that one looking to drive on through towards the line. We will be, in a short moment, going through our official results then from this WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And crucially in today's action then, to start, first race of 2, it is Gonzalo Prieto who picks up the win in 20 minutes and 35 seconds. Gian Zaltavella will take second as we take a look at the practice results there on your screen. Hopefully we'll jump them over to the Heat 1 results here today, but it was Gonzalo Prieto who picks it up over Gian Zaltavella in second, and Christian Novev who will round out the final spot on the podium. It was then Kevin Avey there for Maffei Racing, and the second of the Lemon Squad cars then after Prieto's victory, Alberto Campos there in P5. It was then Myrtol Shaheen for Club Speed and Chris Vrajilov at Negative Delta SRT. Teodor Ivanov will be 8th, leading the Pro-Am category, with Martin Yankov 9th, and Gabriel Ricciardo, the Am privateer from Argentina, will be on the pole for race number 2. It's then Joris Ohms in 11th and Viktor Varbanov 12th, with Maxim Dimitrov and Roy Viveka 13th and 14th. Rosti Koshev will take 15th ahead of Ivilo Dimitrov, and your biggest mover in race 1, Tom Cordy, they're up 17 places, gaining half the places in the field. The likes in 18th, of course, of Fahad Syed. You then got Vladimir Mavrodiev 19th, Lazar Katsarski in 20th, ahead of the likes of Valentin Stamenkov. Last car on the leading lap, Martin Stoyanov and Dimitar Palauzov 22nd and 23rd, ahead of Radlen Ivanov, who would be a lap down. Kenny Campos 2 laps down, 3 for Tim Bates, and pretty much everybody else a retiree. Milan Milchev, Krastin Stanchev, Teddy Minev, Alex Plamanov, Ryan Fallowfield, Dimitar Dimitrov, Nikolai Mikov, Alexandru Sergiu, Eric Veharaif, and also the likes of Stanimir Borisov. They're making up the 36 cars going on by. We'll take this moment, though, ladies and gentlemen, here with your SIMGEAR F4 Summer Challenge to step aside for just one moment. We'll be back with race number 2 after this. of the season, where Gabriel Ricciardo, the leading driver in the AM category, has the pole position over Martin Yankov and Teodor Ivanov there in third. Chris Vrajilov will be fourth with Murtol Shaheen, Alberto Campos, Kevin Abey, Christian Novev, Jan Zaltavella, and your winner last time out, Gonzalo Prieto, in 10th. The likes there in 12th, of course. We took a look at Victor Varbanov. Everybody jumping on here, and keep an eye on the likes of Fahad Syed trying to jump on through the field along with Tom Cordy. Both of those drivers will be hoping to jump on up. So too will Valentin Stamenkov with front wing damage, but with a whole minute only to grid up for race number 2, these drivers will be quick getting themselves into position, waiting for the likes of Ivilo Dimitrov to get up onto the grid, and then we will be in position. Ivilo does find himself there, and now we're ready. Race number 2 looks to bring itself in play. Am on pole. Lights are on. Lights will go out, and there's a couple of jumps that went through off the start there, and it will be Alberto Campos who's got a jump start here to this one. Kevin Abey has got a jump start. Murtol Shaheen has a jump start as they head themselves in towards turn number 1. Disastrous for many as they've looked to try and get themselves what they wanted here. Gabriel Ricciardo leads them out of turn 1. Yankov in second. Third is going to be Ivanov. 3 wide they go in through 4th, 5th, and 6th. Campos, Vrajilov, and then Kevin Abey. But those drivers who jumped the start, 3 of them will now look very red-faced. I think they looked at each other and went jump, 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 and nobody was looking in the right direction at the light. So a dramatic start, to say the least, to this race. But for the moment, it is Am in front and having to slightly defend here because Gabriel Ricciardo's lost 1, has lost 2. Ivanov through, and Martin Yankov now your leader. So Teodor Ivanov now up to second, but Gabriel Ricciardo will get a run. So too will Alberto Campos. They crest the hill. A little bit of contact there between Campos and Gabriel Ricciardo, who gets shuffled out of line. We expect it on a top 10 invert here, that those at the front deal with those going to try and get back up towards the front, and already issues for the likes of Fallowfield, Borisov, and Bates, who are not going to be getting the starts that they have wanted. Immediately into the pits goes Kevin Abey to take that pit stop out of the way. Then for the jump start in this one, Zaltavella has also made a very good start to this race and is already up 4 spots into 5th, considering it was 7th to 2nd in race 1. It might be more of the same as Christian Novev also looks to try and get involved down in towards turn number 1. Joris Ohms is now in 10th position, and we'll be looking at the gaps. Thinking it's a lot of work to get up to Teodor Ivanov right now. Around the outside, we'll try Christian Novev here of turn 3. Now looking at turn 4 to try and make this happen. Gabriel Ricciardo bottlenecking, holding it up. 3 wide. Gonzalo Prieto trying to get through. So too Victor Varbanov trying to find a line. 3 wide they go in towards turn 5. Will they all come out the other side? 4 wide Fanning off of the exit and single file. Varbanov picks up 2. What a wonderful bit of work there by Victor Varbanov, with Christian Novev pushing a little bit wide there through the corner and now heading up towards the corkscrew. They're already looking around at each other here. 1.2 the gap at the front now for the likes of Martin Yankov. We know Alberto Campos has got to jump into the pits. We know the likes then of him has to try and make that stop. A little slowdown penalty for Jan Zaltavella will also bring him back into play, and now into the pits will go Alberto Campos to take that penalty. Then it is, of course, going to be a little bit of a hold, and you look around down the field and where drivers have gone. Abey is now down with Syed in 26th position, getting past Vekharif then 4th position. But right now it is Yankov, Ivanov, Vrajilov, Zaltavella, and up to 4th. Novev is 5th. Varbanov now into 6th position, and then you've got Gonzalo Prieto in 7th. Or behind him, Gabriel Ricciardo, Joris Ohms and Roy Viveka working together. Maxim and Ivilo Dimitrov working hard then in 11th and 12th places. But for the moment, it is a hefty push from those in front, the likes of Novev then looking at Zaltavella, and they are going to try and work together to get up to Chris Vrajilov, who finds himself in 3rd position in the number 6 machine. Penalty not on him, so Chris Vrajilov will try and escape away then without too much troubles. I think he was able to avoid that penalty then off of the start of this race, so he's got lucky then as as they go through the gravel concourse. Then along that next section, what a drive of run then by Christian Novev, trying to go around the outside of the rainy curve. It pinches off to make a close profile corner, and looking around with Huisenfeld and SIMGEAR on the car in front there, Victor Varbanov is searching. Watch out, Danny inside. Gonzalo Prieto throws one down. Room just about given off the circuit there for one Mr. Victor Varbanov, who will now go as they are too wide, too deep, over towards this next section as the likes of Theodor Ivanov sets the fast lap of the race. They fight into the Andretti at turn 2. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there between them, but critically enough to make the pass from Gonzalo Prieto. He will jump up and gain that place. Cars with black and orange mechanical flags. Martin Stoyanov, Fahad Saev, Vladimir Mavrodiev, Alex Plamanov, and Alexandru Sergiu in trouble. So too Valentin Stemenkov and Tim Bates here in this race number 2. Remember, they got no fast repairs. If the car breaks early, that's it. They're done. And I wonder whether there was a big incident in the back while we were watching here what's going on. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and co at the moment. There is where Alberto Campos has come back out. 19th place with Palauzov, with the likes of AB, who is moving through the order and wanting to try and jump up with those places. Going past Krastin Stanchev for that place. Roy Viveka eyeing up passes then on the likes of Joris Ohms, looking to get another one. Maxim Dimitrov in 11th, Ivilo Dimitrov in 12th. These four trying to stay with Gabriel Ricciardo, trying to stay with Victor Varbanov, Gonzalo Prieto, Jean Zaltavella, and Christian Novev, who look to try and say that this is their race to go and deal with. But at least for the moment, it's Martin Yankov looking to put to pay dirt what happened between him and Victor Varbanov in race 1, trying to get those points and redeem himself, currently at the front. But still, Zaltavella will look around, losing the place now to Novev, and suddenly here comes the charge of Gonzalo Prieto, who's trying to get through, diving back for the inside off the exit of turn 3, and at turn 4, pocket picked. Can he get his Oliver Twist of a move? Contact as they go through the corner, completely taken away from Gian Zaltavella. Through goes Victor Varbanov with a freebie. Yoink! I'll take that one as he gets that place. And just behind that, the ever-looming presence of Gabriel Ricciardo, who will be beaming right now in the AM category championship, but will not want to be running wide, as so too went the likes of Varbanov, eyeing up Prieto for that place. But they'll try and get by Novev first, and they've dropped 2 seconds over to Chris Vrajilov, who's in 3rd place, picking up those quiet points here today. And I mean the quiet points that you look at the end of the season and go, well, Vrajilov will surely be a contender for the title. But at least right now, on the brakes they go at turn number 11, and now on to another lap already. What will be their 6th lap worth of racing out there at this point. 1.6 now the margin at the front here, as you've got a Pro-Am in second. What a day for Theodor Ivanov. This is currently, at this stage, a hefty double lockup from Victor Varbanov through the opening corner. Gives the gap back to Gonzalo Prieto, and license to attack for both, not only Gonzalo Prieto, but for Gian Zaltavella, the Dutchman, looking to try and find each and every way to go and make places, and those gains, those all-important gains of places right now. Nikolai Mikov, what a race he's having. 33rd to 16th then already in this one, and he has jumped a staggering 17 out there so far, and could have his eyes set on more if he can catch Radlin Ivanov, who he himself started 24th and is up 9 spots in this race. 6 gained for Varbanov, 5 gained for Prieto. Novev's got 4, and 1 place gained respectively for Vrajilov, Ivanov, and Yankov at the moment. Gabriel Ricciardo, one of your bigger losers, -7, but I'd still say good job so far there in the Cannon Williams colours as he runs slightly wide going through turn number 10, because he's got to try and stay with this group, and that's what's keeping him honest. Tom Cordy, who, remember, started race 1 down at the very back of the field, and look at how they will start fanning out there. Radlin Ivanov running wide, Tom Cordy there, Rosti Koshev also in the books, Varbanov trying to go around the outside of Gonzalo Prieto. A little bit of sunshine comes out, and and if you want to steal my sunshine, you're going to have to steal my place first. And Victor Varbanov can't quite manage that at the moment, with Gonzalo Prieto still happy to hold his place. Christian Novev starting to drive away a little bit now at 0.7 of a second. The rubber band snaps at 1.5 seconds, but at 1 second you feel it probably more than most. And it's psychological. Varbanov almost into the rear tyre, and there's movement over the front nose, and it's really getting a little bit chippy between those drivers, as they now know this was the way they battled all throughout race number 1 before it was a case of running out of options. Campos down the inside now, trying to steal a place away. Too wide they go with Kevin Aby as they try and go through, both by Nikolai Mikov round the outside. Kevin Aby, what a move. And Gabriel Ricciardo now trying to go on the offensive for more points. He looks at Gian Zaltavella, who was second in the opening race, and saying, I don't mind the fact that you were second. I am looking to try and steal some points as an AM category driver. Campos still ahead then of AB and looking to hold that station, but Christian Novev eyeing up then a podium here as Chris Vrajalov, and it would be back-to-back podiums, it would have to be said as well, is going to be where his next mind is going to be taken. Radlen Ivanov on the back of this group, 14th, 15th, 16th. Now hoping at the halfway stage that there's going to be a look somewhere to make that pass. Thinks better of it, taking the outside line. And Tom Cordy in the middle, stuck in Schrodinger's overtake. There's the contact between Kevin Aby and Alberto Campos. Campos having to skitter across the inside of the circuit, and Varbanov then fighting with Zaltavella for position. Zaltavella is doing enough on the outside. Can he swing around the outside? Oh, what a pass, but he can't get it secured, because now here comes the look. Now it becomes Victor Varbanov's turn on the inside, heading towards the carrot for the corkscrew to get this done, and it will be Varbanov holding his point, saying, I will keep my place, and look at what it's done. Gonzalo Prieto has scampered off, and now be looking at Christian Novev thinking, fourth? Third? Third would be nice. I'll take third if I can get there. But Varbanov looking around. Zaltavella behind that. Gabriel Ricciardo staying honest, and so too Joris Ooms and Roy Vervaker, who are looking around thinking, what can we do? We know there's nothing that we can do to catch Teodor Ivanov here today, who is second position, and that's why the top 10 invert becomes so very, very vital, as now Gian Zaltavella looks again here to try and get back at Varbanov, and Victor Varbanov is going to be very much looking at the lines and trying to keep his feet planted in them. Those 4 contact patches of Pirellis will be trying to do what they can. At a moment like this, you start saying, what more do I have to give? Well over halfway in this race. There goes the move by Radlen Ivanov. He will get that pass done on Tom Cordy, who will yield and give that one up. Cordy part of the Pro-Am division, as Radlen Ivanov is part of the Am category division, and we'll be looking at big points here. Currently third in class, with only the likes of Ivaylo Dimitrov to try and chase down. Maxim Dimitrov will also be looking to try and score a couple of points in play, but now there's a bit of traffic troubles for Gabriel Ricciardo, who's got into it with Tim Bates and is turned around coming out of the corkscrew. Gabriel Ricciardo now might be dropping big points here, and is, because through has gone Ivaylo Dimitrov, and maybe soon you'll start seeing the likes of Ivanov then starting to bring it into play. Gabriel Ricciardo's got a drive-through penalty, for instance. He's already up on 17, and it's going to have to keep himself well off of the side of the road as they went by. Dramatic, to say the least, and we didn't quite catch what happened, but ultimately it is not the greatest moment in the world for Tim Bates, and Gabriel Ricciardo will feel incredibly hard done by the incident there, and now is going to have to try and play damage limitation here today, knowing that next week's 2 rounds worth of racing are also going to be very much in the mind right now, knowing that this has been an all-important season, knowing that you've got to be on your very, very best form time and time and time again, knowing Okayama's in a week, you've got to be up there. Gonzalo Prieto has found the back then of Christian Novev and is looking very, very intently at 4th and at Chris Vrajalov in 3rd. The 2 teammates 3rd and 4th, the 2 SIMGEAR negative Delta, teammates out there are now starting to think This third place is one of ours, but who is going to do so? We are well over 2/3 now through this race, and Prieto is stalking and hunting and hoping that his place is there. But look at who he brings to the table with him. Victor Varbanov, who is galvanized at this moment to try and make places, wants to get there. Gian Zautavella is trying hard to hold on. Varbanov with the fastest lap of the race, and all the while it's been a quiet one at the front for Martin Yankov since the opening lap of the race, where he took the race lead. Teodor Ivanov in second. Chris Vrajilov trying to hold station with that in third. Varbanov still searching, and Radlen Ivanov now in 12th position by on Rosti Koshev, who moves back to 13th. Lucky for some, as he brings himself into play once more. And now they are hitting a tiny bit of traffic to deal with as well. And I tell you what, Rosti Koshev is not done, because he'll want to get back here on Radlen to try and get that pass. Moves over to the inside here at turn 5. Big wide arcing line. Look at the pace taken by Koshev. He won't be able to get it slowed up on the exit. Now he's slow up the hill, and Koshev here is going to try and cut across and get the big drive out of turn 6. He doesn't quite get there, so more still to be had. Vrajilov now in trouble. Oh, car without a rear wing up over the top of the crest. Who was that smoking about there? I was not quite sure who that was, but it was well in and around with the likes of Maxim Dimitrov, for example, and I think it might have been Alex Plamanov who found himself then with contact, netco contact with Maxim Dimitrov, and it's Plamanov, the lap traffic, who's turned around with that. Search to the inside by Varbanov. Still not there. Still not close enough. And Gonzalo Prieto continues to stay in range and looking for a way through. This podium battle might be for second as well, with Teodor Ivanov at a second and a half away, trying to just hold off these drivers in the later stages of this race. Final fifth of the race soon coming up. And now for Chris Vrajilov, he sits and has to play the ultimate game. Do I let Christian Novev through to start running for second, or do I defend against my own teammate here in this one? There is pride to be had, and it is at stake as they climb the hill to the corkscrew once more. On the brakes now, a big look around the outside by Varbanov. Not going to find it and lifts out of it, and that might even bring Zautavella into play. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh still to be decided as they go down the hill, out the rainy curve, and towards turn number 10 once again, hoping that that pass is there. Vrajilov holding himself wonderfully. Here comes the lunge down the inside. Oh, what a pass. Late by Gonzalo Prieto. He took that one, and Christian Novev was napping, and now he will be very alert to the threat of Victor Varbanov. He'll be threatened by Gian Zautavella, who'll be looking for the position. Looks to the inside. Aren't quite there. Huge lock-up by Prieto, who goes around, catches Varbanov going through. Varbanov and Prieto now have black flag penalties for incidents and will both have to go down into the pits. Who is going to have points at the end of this one? This race too has certainly changed the dynamic. Koshev still trying to go and fight back here against Radlen Ivanov, and having none of it then round the out, or down the inside, sorry, at turn 1. Will turn to the outside at turn 3, and Radlen Ivanov is there. Varbanov decides game over right now out there, and that will be a huge hurt for Victor as far as this one goes. So suddenly Vrajilov third, Novev fourth, and Zautavella will go to fifth. Still side by side for Radlen Ivanov. Still a search down the inside, not there. And Christian Novev still defending over the Dutchman right now. Gian Zautavella has stayed so calm over the course of this race and has done everything correct to try and build this one into what is a wonderful result out there. Erms will move to 6th, Viveka to 7th, Dimitrov's 8th and 9th, and Ivanov flying off the road there in front of Caudry. So that is Radlen Ivanov then really losing out. So Tom Caudry there is going to be gaining a couple of places there. It's dramatic to say the least, going over the top there of the corkscrew. So that would have been a lot of Vilo Dimitrov was going through there as well. But for the moment, Zautavella still holds. Prieto with the black and orange mechanical flag in the pits, but watch out. This is for the top 10 all of a sudden. And now too wide, too deep. Koshev down the inside is going to pick this one up. Cordy is going to have to wait. There is Kevin Abbey, who is there. How is Kevin Abbey on for a top 10 here after the dramas he's had with Campos in this race? Radlen Ivanov is going to be looking at that, and Kevin Abbey now moves to 11th, and Kevin Abbey might be getting a top 10 out of absolutely nowhere in a race like this one today. So this is a tough race, and it shows that you're not out of it here in the F4 Summer Challenge just because you have a moment like a jump start early. And we are now heading to the final lap of the race with Martin Yankov 2 seconds clear at the front of the field, doing nothing dramatic out there at this point, just trying to keep every amount of pressure away as early as possible. This is what we call a measured drive. Teodor Ivanov has driven superbly in second position at 2 seconds back, holding off Vrajilov and Novev and Zaltavella, and now Alberto Campos hoping for points and hoping for a couple of them more because he wants the pass on Radlen Ivanov. He wants to go through this gauntlet where it's also housing the likes of Tom Cordy and Rosti Koshev and Kevin Abbey if there are mistakes on the final lap. Abbey searching for the inside, as easy as your ABCs, and Campos then picks that one up down the inside. Foot's kept in it then, still by the likes of Radlen Ivanov, but around the outside, it is move made. Alberto Campos holds his foot in and keeps himself stable, doing a great job. Up the hill they will go through 5, 6, 7, the corkscrew for the final drivers as the likes of Vrajilov holds his station steady. Abbey and now Roy Viveka through on Joris Erms, but you've got to go to Martin Yankov because this is the way you bounce back. You struggle in race number 1. You have to go to your B game, your C game. When you've got the front row in the reverse, that is redemption perfectly personified. Martin Yankov takes race number 2 as Teodor Ivanov will get a superb second, and third, fourth, fifth, Vrajilov, Novev and Gian Zaltavella. Wow, wow, wow. That had everything you wanted and then some for a race here today. You could sit and say that there is so much that can happen over the course of it. Koshev holds on for that top 10 ahead of Abbey, Cordy and Campos, but that is where everybody is scrapping about for places. Everybody is trying to hold on. The likes of Milen Milchev and Krastin Stanchev close over the line, but no cigars then for either of them. Eric Vehereif then going over the line, and Teddy Minev then being the last driver then in the number 1, 2, 3 machine heading to the line. Is currently a minute 15 down on the leading lap, but still a gain of 10 here today to move to 19th position in this second race. A dramatic race here from this one on SimGear's YouTube, and right now you say a championship that has a format which leaves it completely wide open. Let's get confirmation of result then from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, as all drivers on the leading lap have now crossed the line. That's the jump that catches out immediately in the early stages of the race, but it would be Martin Yankov who would pick up the result and would do so 20 minutes 37 seconds. All things said and done, a time only 2 seconds slower than what we saw in race number 1. Teodor Ivanov will get a sterling second position there for the Pro-Am category, with Chris Vrajilov in third and Christian Novev in fourth position. Gian Zaltavella will pick up the last spot in the top 5. The top 5 split by 4.3 seconds over the line, with Roy Viveka and Joris Erms, the two Belgians, then 6th and 7th. Maxim Dimitrov and Ivilo Dimitrov are 8th and 9th. Ivilo Dimitrov winning the Am category there in race number 2, with Rosti Koshev rounding out your top 10. Kevin Abbey would finish off 11th, despite having a jump start with Tom Cordy and Alberto Campos then 12th and 13th. Radlen Ivanov is 14th in this one, with Nikolai Mikov in 15th ahead of Krastin Stanchev, Milan Milchev, and Eric Vegaraev, who is there in 18th position. Last car in the leading lap would be Teddy Minev in the 1-2-3 machine, leading the likes of Dimitar Palauzov a lap down, Kenny Campos and Lazar Ketsarski then on 1 lap down. Dimitar Dimitrov would be 2 laps down with Gabriel Ricciardo, who was right up at the top as your pole sitter today. Gonzalo Prieto and Victor Varbanov will look at each other and feel very much aggrieved with that, as Murtol Shaheen and Valentin Stemenkov are going to be retirees in this one. Alex Plamenov, Martin Stoyanov, Fahad Syed caught out early on, so too Vladimir Mavrodiev, Alexandru Sergiu, the Romanian, Tim Bates, and then Ryan Fallowfield and Stanimir Borisov choosing not to start in race number 2. That, ladies and gentlemen, will take us over to our press conference here with SimGear, and we'll start first and foremost with the likes of Martin Yankov picking up the victory here today in race 2 at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Martin, after race 1 and your contact with Victor Varbanov, which you'll feel a little bit hard done by, how critical was that to bounce back in race 2 and give yourself the platform you needed?
I just got lucky. Finishing P9 got me the second grid position, so it was an easy race afterwards.
Well, you got your easy race and you were certainly managing it. How does the F4 compare to GT4, which we saw you in last when it came to SimGear's championships? I know you've been really working hard here and trying to get yourself up to the top level and really fight here. And do you think these results here in the F4, is this another case of another car that suits you?
Not really. I think F4 is very different than the GT4s, and it's a bit tricky to drive actually, but I really like the track, so yeah, I managed to get a good performance today.
Well, it might not be the sort of car that you like, so to speak, but it is one that you're getting success in. And so do you think that you can garner more success in 7 days' time when we head over to Japan and with Okayama?
Yeah, we'll see. This is a fun tournament, so I'm just doing it for fun. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It may be for fun, but victories are also becoming of Martin Yankov, picking up the result and getting a wonderful victory overall in race 2. We move over to a Pro-Am winner and second overall here in this one, Teodor Ivanov, picking up that second position. Teodor, that is a really strong showing here today from both qualifying the car in 5th to start and finishing off in 8th, and then to get second here in race number 2. That is a championship battling position overall, let alone for Pro-Am.
Yes, after I think this was my best lap ever that I made. I was quite shocked. After that, losing out by 2,000 was a bad thing for me, but I still managed to escape from the traffic, from the incidents. So yeah, I'm quite happy with my debut race.
20 minutes is pretty much sprint length out there, and so when you're looking around and every driver's trying to make moves, how do you keep yourself calm when everybody's throwing a move left, right, and center?
I mean, if I see a faster driver behind me, and we start battle each other, we are gonna lose some time. So it's better to let him pass by and use his slipstream. And in my situation, they are in other classes, so I don't want to crash with them, and so on. I'm trying to be clean as possible.
There's a little bit of a luck element around this as well, especially when it comes to being in the right place at the right time for the reverse grids. We saw that your nearest challenger on pace today, Fahad Syed, had a very tough day at the office, but you still got some very consistent drivers like Roy Viveka, Joris Ooms, for example, who can certainly give a challenge. Do you feel like that challenge is going to be more or less likely when we head to Okayama?
I mean, who knows? I can't say anything. I'm just hoping for a clean race, making some fun, and that's it.
Well, a very simple principle to race by, but a fantastic second place then for Teodor Ivanov, which leads to Chris Vrajilov picking up a very strong result of third place. But Chris, qualifying seemed to be the weak suit here today. He qualified at only 14th on the grid, which meant you really had to work your way through the field. Talk us through your battles to get not only first to 7th, but then from 4th to 3rd and picking up a podium in race 2.
Yeah, I was a bit lucky to be fair, but the reverse grid really helped me out. It's really nice to see all Bulgarian lineup on the podium as well. So happy days.
Happy days, certainly indeed. When you've got 10 rounds or 10 races in a championship and you're doing 2 each time you're there, it's a little bit different from what we've seen in various other championships that we've done here with SimGear. So when you've got that aggressive style, that aggressive nature, and you're seeing drivers picking up instant points, being really aggressive, trying to take as much of the corner as they possibly can and going over the limits, do you feel like there's an element of some drivers pushing a bit too far? Or for you, is it a case of just try and drive it like I did the GT3s and just try and keep well within my limits and pick up anything that comes my way?
No, I'm super cautious because one contact can end the whole race. So it's completely different compared to the GT4s and the GT3s. You have to be very gentle when there are cars around you. So yeah, it's completely different. I'm fairly new to it, so I was not expecting that kind of result. It's my first or second week with that car, but it's working out well. So hopefully I'll do even better in Okayama.
And talk us through whether Okayama's a circuit for you or not, because it holds a lot of the principles of racing that for drivers who are starting out, it gives you what you need. There's that long a chance to attack at the hairpin, lots of corners that you can go side by side with. Do you think it's going to be more conducive to great battling like we've seen here today at Laguna Seca? And do you think it's going to keep the aggression level up?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a very tight track, so it'll be very similar to what we saw today. Overtaking will be tough. There are a few opportunities, but I think it will be a carnage, especially on the first couple of laps. It's my favorite track with an MX-5. I never tried it with F4, so it's gonna be something new.
Well, let's hope that favourite track in an MX-5 does, in fact, correlate over. Chris Vrajilov joining us then and picking up a 3rd position overall, which will conclude our press conference duties for today from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. We've got 1 Pacific Ocean to cross within 7 days to get to your next round of the championship, which will be coming to you from the former circuit TI Ada, which is now known as Okayama. And you can only catch that with us here on SimGear here on YouTube. Do all of those wonderful things of liking, of sharing, of subscribing to make sure that you are kept in the loop with some of the most amazing, aggressive sim racing that we have seen over the course of today. It's a case of moving fortunes and different stories out there for many who look to try and pick up what they wanted here today. Gonzalo Prieto would have been happy until he ran into Victor Varbanov. Gian Zaltavella had a very nice, consistent run of action here today, but when I turn around and say who's going to stand up, Vrajilov, Teodor Ivanov, Martin Yankov, and even the likes of those who have said, I can do what I can to score the points needed. AM category will be very interesting to keep note as well, with Gabriel Ricciardo's troubles late on and the charge up through from Ivaylo Dimitrov over from 22nd to 9th to take a race 2 victory in AM category. We will see you in 7 days' time for more racing action. That will be at Okayama, and that will certainly be fireworks to be found.